Imagine a world where every challenge feels heavier, every goal seems distant, and every success feels hollow because you face it alone. Now imagine that same world when you're not alone, when people stand beside you, think with you, struggle with you, and celebrate with you. That is the power of being together. But why is it that the profound magic of connection, collaboration, and shared vision feels so rare, almost like it exists only in the hardcover pages of books, inspiring us but rarely living in our daily reality? Today, I'm here to pull that hardcover idea off the shelf and make it alive, urgent, and essential. Together isn't just better, it's a matter of survival, growth, and impact. And if we ignore it, we risk not only losing opportunities, but losing the essence of what makes our work, our relationships, and our lives truly meaningful. Let's explore why together is better isn't just a phrase. It's a call to action we cannot postpone. Men are wired to strive, to conquer, and to prove their worth in ways that often feel solitary. From an early age, society teaches them that strength is measured by independence, that vulnerability is weakness, and that asking for help diminishes their value. But the truth is far more radical. Strength grows exponentially when shared. When a man allows himself to connect, to lean into others, to reveal doubts alongside dreams, he discovers a power that no solitary effort could ever produce. Alone, progress is measured in inches. Together, it stretches into miles. Women intuitively understand the impact of connection because they navigate life in networks of empathy, communication, and shared support. When men embrace this principle, they not only enhance their own lives, but also become allies, partners, and leaders who amplify the strengths of those around them. A project tackled alone might succeed, but a vision nurtured together ignites purpose and momentum that no individual can summon alone. Men often underestimate this, believing that their solitary effort proves resilience, when in reality, it limits influence, creativity, and fulfillment. Pressure builds differently for men and women. Men internalize struggle, hiding stress behind a mask of competence, while women often articulate, seek counsel, and adapt collaboratively. The lesson is clear. The human experience thrives when masculine energy learns the art of collective strength. A challenge faced alone tests endurance, but the same challenge faced together ignites innovation, courage, and resilience. It rewires perception, showing men that reaching out is not submission, but strategic amplification of their power. History, culture, and literature often celebrate lone heroes, making it easy for men to romanticize solitude. Yet in reality, even the most celebrated figures relied on others, mentors, friends, partners, and communities to achieve greatness. Men who grasp this truth unlock not only personal growth, but relational depth. Women notice this transformation immediately. Trust deepens, intimacy flourishes, and mutual respect rises when men step into collaboration rather than isolation. The limitation of doing everything alone is not a weakness, it is a blind spot. Men are capable of extraordinary feats, but when they integrate collective energy, shared insight, and reciprocal support, their capacity becomes limitless. Together, men and women, allies and peers, create a force that transcends talent, skill, and singular ambition. Men often carry burdens in silence, believing that admitting struggle is a failure of character. Society has long conditioned men to endure alone, to suppress vulnerability, and to present a facade of invincibility. But strength does not grow in isolation. It multiplies when shared. When a man allows someone else to witness his struggle, to stand beside him in uncertainty, he discovers that the weight he thought he bore alone becomes lighter, more manageable, and paradoxically, more powerful. Shared struggles forge resilience that solitary effort can never replicate. Women understand instinctively that connection transforms difficulty into growth. While men may perceive vulnerability as a liability, women perceive it as an opportunity for deeper trust, collaboration, and emotional alignment. When men open themselves to this dynamic, they invite not only support, but insight, perspective, and creative problem solving. The challenges that once seemed insurmountable begin to reveal solutions, not because the struggle has lessened, but because human energy pooled together exceeds what any individual can achieve. Men often equate independence with competence, believing that seeking help diminishes credibility. Yet the most successful men across history and in everyday life are those who embrace shared effort. By bringing others into their trials, friends, partners, mentors, colleagues, they create a multiplier effect where each contribution amplifies courage, determination, and innovation. Women notice this dynamic immediately. The willingness to share struggle fosters connection, deepens empathy, and transforms relationships from transactional to transformative. The act of sharing struggle challenges the notion that men must bear pain alone. It rewires perspective, turning isolation into opportunity. When men confront adversity with allies, the emotional and psychological benefits extend beyond immediate relief. They cultivate endurance, wisdom, and emotional intelligence. Women, in turn, experience the reciprocal impact. They witness men evolving beyond traditional constraints, creating partnerships where mutual support, respect, and understanding are not optional, but essential. History glorifies the lone fighter, the solitary conqueror, yet every breakthrough, every enduring achievement has roots in collective effort. Men who embrace shared struggle tap into a hidden reservoir of strength, one that transforms weakness into strategy, fear into action, and challenge into opportunity. Struggles no longer shrink them. They expand their capacity to lead, connect, and thrive. Men are often praised for their independent thinking, their ability to tackle problems alone, and their drive to be the originators of solutions. But the reality is that true innovation rarely emerges from isolation. It thrives in environments where ideas intersect, where perspectives collide, and where collaboration is not just encouraged, but essential. When men allow themselves to engage with others, to listen, to challenge, and to be challenged, they unlock creative potential far beyond what solitary effort can achieve. Women tend to approach challenges with relational intelligence, naturally seeking input, dialogue, and consensus. This approach often clashes with the male tendency to prioritize autonomy, yet it offers a lesson in exponential thinking. Collaboration doesn't dilute vision, it magnifies it. When men embrace this, they discover that innovation is not about having all the answers. It's about creating spaces where multiple answers converge, evolve, and transform into something greater than the sum of its parts. Men often fear that collaboration will make them seem weaker or less capable, as if sharing ideas or asking for feedback diminishes their authority. The truth is exactly the opposite. Bringing others into the process doesn't compromise strength, it enhances it. Shared insight accelerates problem solving, uncovers blind spots, and generates solutions that would have remained invisible to a single mind. Women, noticing this, respond with trust and engagement, fostering relationships that are both personally and professionally transformative. The psychology of men teaches that risk-taking is a core component of identity, yet risk loses its power when undertaken in isolation. Collaboration allows men to take smarter, bolder risks because they are anchored by collective intelligence, feedback, and support. When teams breathe life into an idea together, innovation becomes not a solitary act of brilliance, but a dynamic process of shared imagination. The challenge of relinquishing complete control often unlocks the most profound creative breakthroughs. History shows that breakthroughs, both small and monumental, rarely emerge from single minds. Men who internalize this principle begin to shift not only their approach to work, but their approach to life. They see that listening, integrating, and co-creating are not signs of compromise. They are gateways to impact, influence, and enduring legacy. Women, observing this shift, reinforce it through encouragement, partnership, and collaboration, creating cycles of innovation that continue to grow and expand. Men often approach goals as personal achievements, milestones that mark their competence, independence, and strength. There is a drive to conquer objectives alone, to prove themselves through solitary effort, and to measure success by what they can accomplish individually. But the truth is that goals, no matter how ambitious, remain limited if pursued in isolation. Connection transforms a goal into a movement, giving it life, momentum, and purpose far beyond personal gain. Women naturally understand the power of connection, valuing relationships, shared vision, and collective energy. When men intentionally connect with others, they discover that goals gain depth and resilience. A personal ambition becomes a shared mission when it is communicated, supported, and co-created with those around them. The psychology of men is wired to value results, yet the integration of connection shifts their focus from mere accomplishment to lasting impact, producing outcomes that influence not only themselves, but everyone involved. Men often perceive connection as optional or secondary, believing that relationships slow progress or complicate decision-making. Yet, the most enduring movements in history were born not from isolated effort, but from the ability to inspire, engage, and rally others. Women contribute a perspective that makes this possible. They provide insight, empathy, and encouragement that transform individual effort into collective momentum. Men who embrace this dynamic realize that leadership is not about doing everything themselves. It is about creating an environment where others feel invested, energized, and aligned with the mission. The act of connecting challenges traditional masculine norms, which often emphasize autonomy over collaboration. Yet, when men prioritize connection, they tap into a psychological reservoir that amplifies commitment, accountability, and creativity. Shared experiences, mutual support, and open communication allow goals to transcend their original scope. What once seemed like a personal target evolves into a collective vision that motivates, inspires, and sustains action over time. Connection also reframes failure, fear, and risk. Men who isolate themselves bear the weight of setbacks alone, but those who engage others distribute the load, gain perspective, and discover solutions faster. Women, in turn, notice the transformation. They witness men stepping into vulnerability without losing authority, building trust, and forging partnerships that turn ambition into purpose. Together, these connected efforts transform what might have been a solitary pursuit into a movement that drives impact, influence, and lasting change. Men are taught early that independence defines worth, that strength is measured by what can be achieved alone, and that dependence on others signals weakness. Society packages these lessons neatly, almost like a hardcover book, polished, persuasive, and easily memorized. Yet, just like a book, the wisdom it contains is often confined to theory rather than practice. Men read about collaboration, connection, and shared success, but they forget to live it, to embody it, and to experience its transformative power in real time. Women often notice this disconnect immediately. While men pursue the narrative of the solitary achiever, women tend to operate in networks, leveraging relationships to solve problems, innovate, and endure challenges. This contrast is not a critique. It is a reflection of psychological wiring and social conditioning. When men fail to embrace togetherness, they limit their growth, reduce their impact, and miss the richness of human experience. The hardcover lesson exists as a reminder, but its pages remain closed if men do not actively choose to live the principle it teaches. The hardcover teaches a story that feels safe because it can be quoted without risk, repeated without consequence, and admired without engagement. Men often cling to this safety, mistaking it for wisdom. They admire examples of leaders, innovators, and heroes who achieved greatness, yet fail to recognize the networks, mentors, and partners that supported them. Women, on the other hand, often remember and act on these invisible threads, demonstrating how relationships, collaboration, and trust fuel enduring success. Men who internalize this perspective begin to see that the hardcover lesson is not meant to be stored on a shelf. It is meant to be lived, enacted, and shared. Ignoring togetherness carries hidden costs. Men may reach milestones, earn recognition, or achieve financial success, yet still feel incomplete, isolated, or misunderstood. Connection, collaboration, and shared purpose are not just optional. They are essential to psychological well-being, emotional resilience, and meaningful impact. Women recognize this instinctively, providing encouragement, insight, and partnership that can break the cycle of isolation and transform solitary effort into collective accomplishment. The hardcover lesson also reminds men that forgetting togetherness is a natural human tendency. Pride, fear, competition, and societal conditioning push men toward independence. But every time they act against this instinct, when they invite collaboration, share burdens, or align with others, they reclaim a deeper, more sustainable form of strength. Togetherness becomes not a theory from a polished book, but a lived principle, one that expands capacity, deepens connection, and creates a foundation for innovation, influence, and enduring legacy. Men often wait for permission, guidance, or the perfect moment to act, believing that preparation alone guarantees success. There is a subtle psychological pattern at work. The longer they delay, the more secure they feel, yet the impact of hesitation compounds silently. Waiting for the right moment or for inspiration to arrive is a trap disguised as prudence. True growth, influence, and achievement demand immediate action, and togetherness amplifies the effect of that action far beyond what one man can accomplish alone. Women tend to instinctively recognize the cost of delay, understanding that action, collaboration, and initiative create momentum. They see that men who act in isolation may achieve personal milestones, but they miss the multiplier effect of collective effort. When men combine decisive action with connection, the results are transformative. A single step becomes a shared journey, a small idea becomes a movement, and a fleeting intention becomes enduring change. Waiting for the page, the lesson, or the perfect strategy removes the urgency that fuels progress and diminishes the opportunities that only present themselves in motion. Men are conditioned to fear failure, criticism, and judgment, which often manifests as hesitation. The psychology of delay convinces them that isolation is safe, that risks should be minimized, and that achievement is measured by control rather than collaboration. Yet the paradox is clear. Isolation amplifies risk, limits insight, and reduces impact, whereas acting alongside others distributes responsibility, generates feedback, and increases resilience. Women, observing this, often encourage action not as a gamble, but as a strategic embrace of potential, where shared courage and mutual accountability convert risk into opportunity. The hardest part of acting now is confronting pride. Men are taught that seeking help, sharing vision, or relying on others signals weakness. But history and psychology tell a different story. The most enduring leaders, innovators, and change-makers understood that influence grows when action is collective. Waiting for inspiration from a book, a lecture, or a theory may fill the mind with ideas, but it does nothing to create impact. Women help bridge this gap, reminding men that togetherness transforms intention into execution, theory into reality, and potential into measurable outcomes. Action in isolation may achieve efficiency, but it rarely generates legacy. Men who embrace the urgency of now, who step forward with others by their side, discover that every decision, every initiative, and every risk taken together reverberates far beyond their personal scope. The psychology of shared action reinforces courage, accountability, and creativity, while women contribute insight, perspective, and relational intelligence that magnify the results. In waiting, men defer influence. In acting together, they create momentum that reshapes possibilities, expands vision, and establishes a foundation that no solitary effort could sustain.